Many values exist in this society: altruism, antinatalism, socialism, feminism. We think there are various values because the structure of the brain and how human beings feel differs dependent on the individual to individual. We think in opening house talked about how the practical consequences of charism, for example, memory or money, which is important. As long as the consequence of the charism, the value judgment of the consequence of charism depends on individual to individual, we cannot say that from the objective perspective, psychological satisfaction is always good or material satisfaction is always good. But if certain value goes too far and starts to violate other ideology and values, that is when the closing government is going to oppose the value because it harms others' thoughts. So we think, on the standard of opposing values, we think this debate is not about whether one individual should believe in charism or not. We think this debate is about whether the existence of people believing in charism is beneficial from the societal and holistic perspective. As long as the closing government is the only team who have framed this debate into what is the standard of opposing, that this debate has shifted into this framework, as long as opening house have never actually framed what is to oppose the value in this debate. Two things. Number one, why dominance? Why charism tends to be dominant value and why it is harmful of that because of the dominance. Second of all, even if the charism is not dominant, why charism has this inherent nature to instill charism to others. All my brothers are integrated in my speech. Number one, why charism tends to be dominant. So why do people believe in charism in the first place? The one reason is they care about their money. They need money and they want their job to be more superior. The thing is, on the human being in general, they tend to seek money. Why? Because money is a fundamental value that are exchanged to any commodities, and in this society, money can be extended to any material thing. That is why the people have this innate nature that money is something very important, and that is why we think as long as human beings seek money, and that is the characteristics of people who believe in charism. And that is why they're in themselves dominant. What happens when they are dominant? When many people do not think of when the charism being the dominant value, many people believing in charism do not think that the charism is people who cannot think of the people who do not believe in charism. Why? It's because they do not have the opportunity to discuss about their value. Because if all around the people are believing in charism and thinking that I believe in charism, you believe in charism, then there is no opportunity for that individual to recognize the existence of charism. That is why, as long as that is a consequence of charism being a dominant value in this debate. Why being dominant value is simply harmful in this debate. Before that, closing competition.
What kind of words are written in the motion? The dominant one not. We don't orbitally make a motion. We look at the motion.
What I have told you is that why charism tend to be dominant. Because money is a value that is exchanged to any commodity, and that is why money is in this society being a very magical existence in this society. That is why human beings in general have the tendency to seek money, and that is why charism tends to be dominant. We're not saying dominant is a preconception in this debate, but I have told you a mechanism why charism tends to be dominant. Why is dominance harmful in this debate? Because even if minorities are believing in, for example, importance in experience, majorities label them as lazy. As long as they no longer have the opportunity to think that money is the best value, because they don't care about those things, and they make a sweeping generalization that those people are lazy, and make a stigmatization to the company. For example, in companies where many of the individuals are seeking their job and one person is seeking that their family's experience is important, they do not think that their value is that their families. They tend to think that those people who do not do are just lazy and do not deserve money. That is how stigmatization occurs. Why stigmatization is harmful in this debate? Because those people who are stigmatized, I feel psychologically marginalized. They cannot feel their own nature, and because the label of lazy actually makes people sad and frustrated. We think the sense of being sad and sense of being frustrated is an absolute sadness that we can say that is harmful. That is why we here the only thing have talked about how value violates other people's frustration and sadness. No, thank you. Second of all, even if the charism is not dominant, the closing opposition might talk about, why charism has its inherent nature to instill charism to others. Another reason why people pursue charism is the status. They feel that they want to be boss and they want to be praised by that the status is good. But we think that status is not always important. We think there are conditions where status is being important for the individual. When is status important? I think it is when others also praise status. When the people say that your status, you being a boss is a very good thing, and you feel a sense of pride because you're being praised by others. So the fact is, the sense of pursuing a charism always requires others praise status. That is why, as long as they want to be their status to be more praised, they have the tendency to actually believe in charism. That you should believe in charism because that is good, and if everyone believes in charism, then those people actually think that the status is good, and that is why they think that if they're going to have a good status, they're going to be praised by the others. That is why charism has its inherent nature to impose the charism itself to others. Why instillment of value is simply harmful? We think one-sidedly imposition of the value is a violation of your thought. And the thought and values are accumulation of your identity. When individuals start to violate and actually impose values on others, that is when your identity is going to collapse, and that is a reason that is harmful in this debate. For example, if you are believing in the fact that, for example, women want to be pursuing the job, or for example, in the companies, right? But if your parents are believing that the women should do the housework, and your parents are instilling that value to you, that is when you feel a very frustration to the parent, and you feel that your thought or your identity is being violated. We think as long as there is a clear violation of thought, that is a harm that we see. And we think as long as that charism has its inherent structure to actually force individuals the thought of charism, and we think as long as that imposition of value is simply harmful to the individuals, we think that is the thing. The difference between closing government opening house is the opening house called about how from the one person individual, it really would be beneficial. But we cannot understand how one person's belief in value judgment is good as long as you cannot define that person's value judgment. Rather, the closing operation told you that if that person believing in charism harms others, that is a tangible harm that we see, because that is a clear frustration and sadness and violation of identity that we have seen. For those reasons, we're extremely proud.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome member position with the men. Okay, here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Work itself is actually boring. We believe like opening was mainly talking about because they can get reward, because they can get achievement, it's good, or because they cannot actually seek what's good in life, and that's why this is bad. They were all based on the consequence. And the consequence is based on something like that. And all the CG already criticized about that, right? And we believe so as well. We believe like without competition, without the career, like a notion of carrierism, like they cannot feel happy. They cannot feel happy in that way. But we believe because of the carrierism, even though they are actually in the company working like 8 hours or something like that, we believe because of the carrierism, because of the notion of carrierism, they can mentally feel happiness, or they can find meaning in competing or making effort to do such kind of things, and that's why we are extremely proud to propose this motion. So one thing to talk about. We're gonna actually clarify what's job in the first place, how people perceive job, and why in our paradigm, because of the careerism, even if they can actually get reward, or even if they can actually get promoted, why they can feel mentally happy in the first place, comparing with like government side paradigm. And all my reputation will be integrated in my speech. So moving on, what's job? And we will explain the context of that. So job, as I said in introduction, job is boring, and cold, and inhumane. The job itself is cold and inhumane without terrorism. Why? Because from age of like 20 or to 60, like through these 40 years, they wake up same time, they get the same train, same time, same car, and they do the same thing, just typing on a keyboard or something like that. We believe this is like a routine, like every day, every time they will do same thing in the first place. They might say like no, they are enjoying their job or their ideal job or something like that. We believe this is not true from three perspectives. Firstly, because this is a rare case. We believe there's a soccer player who actually enjoys playing soccer, or who enjoys being like a board of Apple or Google to be superior in their paradigm or something like that. But we believe this is only few percent, like 1% or 2% of like normal citizens. Normal citizens don't get their ideal job or in the first place. Later, please. Secondly, this is not so easy to get their own ideal job. Why? Because seat for ideal job is limited in the first place. You hear like some job training students struggling with getting their job in the first place, and we believe they might say they can change job if they are like boring or if they don't enjoy their work itself. Well, as you see, it's not so easy to actually get their job, to actually enjoy themselves. Why? Rather, no, thank you. Rather, people seek for the job, for the stability of their life, for surviving, so for maximizing the quality of life by getting money, by being in the stability of their life or something like that. So, thirdly, like even if they get some like ideal job, or even if they to some extent enjoy their life, but the thing is like getting used to something is really fearful thing. Even if like initially they enjoy it, but because they do same thing every day, they wake up same thing, they live in like routine, like everyday life, every day is same day or something like that. So they will get used to it, and their like initial happiness will be decrease in the first place, so that's not the case that they can actually have either ideal job in the first place. That's why the job itself is boring without careerism. Yep.
Instead of careerism, we are more than happy to support the value that work itself is fun. Why the metric of career itself is so important to sustain.
Okay, notion that work is important is not actually changing the mind, the people actually enjoy the job or not, something like that. Notion is not so strong to actually force people enjoy the work itself. So as I already told you, the job itself is actually boring for the people because they get used to it. And that's where the careerism can give you the meaning in working, like making effort, even if you don't get the material consequence or like an improvement from the boss of the company or something like that. So in our paradigm, to get career, 2 points they will do. They will compete with a co-worker to get evaluation and selected by the boss and personal sphere. That's like OG said, right? And secondly, more importantly, they need a creativity or uniqueness to actually differentiate themselves from other co-worker or other worker in those office in the first place. For example, when getting them some business in like outside of the office, they have to come up with a unique strategy to actually get more business than co-worker. For example, like thinking about the human relationship, how they can actually greet like other people to actually get more. So they have to come up with those like uniqueness, or to show uniqueness, show creativity to the boss to actually compete or make an effort to actually differentiate from other co-workers. So why? Because people, why this is good? Because people find meaning in this process. Even though the working themselves is boring, just routine, making effort or competing with the co-worker can be their like, core part of the life or meaning of their life. Why this is important is because like, they can find meaning in their 40 years of life, 40 years of working time, which is a core part of their life, like 80 hours a day. Even if it's small, but it accumulates through the 40 years, 50 years, and it can be the maximization of the happiness. So OG somehow believe they don't need money anymore, but it's not true in the capitalistic system, right? They need money to survive, and they said like they can pursue what they want to do in the structure of the company, but it's not true because terrorism is the notion of individual worker. Even if they don't have terrorism, company is still a profit seeker. They are still in the structure of the company. So a company wouldn't allow individual to actually seek what they want to do. They will actually not allow those anything they want to do, right? But in our paradigm, even though they are in the structure of the company, they can find meaning in making effort, in working. They can put the color on the boring work itself. And that's why we believe our side should be superior to government side.
Thank you for the remarks. Now I'd like to welcome government whip within some minutes. Here.
宮崎頑張れ。
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, a refutation to our opposition side. But before that, let me clarify the meaning of carrierism. The carrier isn't the idea to think that carrier is more important than anything else, ignoring or neglecting other things, right? Cooperation or friendship or something like that. So, following this meaning, I refute to our opening opposition side. So that our carrierism will make people effort. But that is not true, because if you think the work itself is interesting, you will make effort regardless of our career, right? So this is true. And second, so why you can deny the situation that people will do something wrong to making effort. So since the purpose of our making effort to are making a result, so people will there's a case that people will do something wrong to make an effort. For example, they will steal someone's result or kick off our other members, like gossip or something like that, which are completely irrelevant to the capacity. So such kind of things is not our core meaning to pursue the career. So that is not true. And second, thirdly, so carrierism is not only a factor to make people effort. So if you have a good relationship with other coworkers, you can make effort to cooperating with each other. So carrierism is not only factor to make people effort. And second, they said after taking this burn, company cannot produce the maximum products and society will collapse. But that is not true, because as I said before, there are another elements to encourage people to make effort, like our friendship or cooperation, something like that. That argument is also doesn't make any sense. And then our refutation to our closing opposition, but before that, yes.
This is the harm to others, that by saying the taking out of others. However, that's harm, if the harm to others is going to be severely discouraged in society, it can be probably the obstacle for promotion. What is the incentive with individual in the careers have the massive incentive to harm girls in the first place?
So in order to get a good post or career, you have to make a result. So some people absorbed in this concept and they are forgetting, or it can be very irrational one. So they will do anything to do or make a result. So so kicking off or steering someone's effort is a one way to get a post. So then our revert to our closing competition. So they said our job is boring, and reward our competition is very important things. But that is not relevant to this debate, because even if our job is boring, the notion we have to install is the idea that work itself is fun. So there's no meaning to our career reason is necessary. So there's a lot of alternative way to improve this, solve this problem. So that is not the reason to oppose this motion. Yes.
If in the careerism behind it, users such as the working is fun. So this notion is implied. Do you support this careerism itself?
I'm sorry, that's irrelevant to this debate. So I move on to my arguments. So on today's opposition side, mainly talk about the importance of competition or making effort. But that is not leads to the necessity of a careerism. So careerism, as I said before, is the idea to think the career is the most important thing anything else. So, but however, career is not only way to live in the society. There's a lot of things like cooperation or friendship or something like that. So that is the opposition side that never explained to oppose this motion. Then our comparison with opening governments. So opening governments mainly talk about individual value, but that is completely irrelevant to debate. So because this debate is not about whether or not our careerism is good on individual level, but our career is really whether or not career is good or bad to the society or other people. So our closing government clearly explain the mechanism or how to do harm careerism to the society and to other people. So that's our unique contribution to our work to this debate. So then I support my my partner's arguments. So what kind of harm will occur after when people are absorbed in careerism? So before people, in order to get a good career, as I said before, people will be likely to be rational to get to make result, like steering a result to kick off our other people. But even after they get our good post, they are likely to protect their own position. So this leads to our ignoring the co-workers' results, and this is our due harm to our society. So that is a very unique contribution of our side. So our side clearly explain how our careerism is a practical harm to the society and our individual. So that is our unique contribution, and that's the best win this debate. Thank you.
Thank you for remarks. Now I'd like to welcome the opposition whip within some minutes. Here.
Thank you, everyone. So we believe this debate fall into the one crush point, whether which paradigm is better for the individual happiness, even the society is included, because society is constructed by each every single individual. That's why we want to prove vast majority of the cases when the individual is happier than just a parent. What the CD product is just a minority, just successfully prove this is a dominant value. Okay, because dominant value, we are better for the majority. That's why it is okay. This is a clear stance from our side. So let me explain our argument. All this said, so because it's for individual, it's bad. Because people are brainwashed, they have to sacrifice their time. They cannot do other things. That's why it's bad. But we are given that. Why is it bad? Who decides happiness is that this individual itself. How this choice is conducted by is that because it's based on their value, they conduct their choice. Because thanks to this notion, they believe the work is more important than other things. That's why they conduct this choice. Because based on their value, based on their happiness, they conduct this choice. Why is so bad? Rather than beneficial, because they feel the happiness by taking this action. That's why we are here. That's why logic. Why still it is bad? From the perspective of government, they should not decide why it is bad. So still it should be conducted. This choice should be conducted by individual value. That's why we will open government or we be kicked out. So, point of information from closing government is that we can support the norm. What is fun? Okay, hard. They have already explained because the people believe evaluation is important, this notion are created. On the token we believe, in order to say such kind of notion is this support, they have to explain the mechanism how this notion will be created. But they never explain how they can import the norm of the working is fun. Still we believe such kind of situation is completely not the case. Why? Because if you ask them, want to support work is fun. It's the same to our side cases. Why? Because we believe the carrying the similar mean the work is the fun. If they support such kind of no, they have to support our side cases. That's why their definition does not directly attack our side cases. So what we believe, they someone say another way that exists, like because of the cooperation of the co-workers, that's why they can feel the happy, etc., etc. But why? They never explain why in the first place they can make it so suddenly they cooperate each other. Why suddenly they can make evaluation? Why then somehow they can make feel happier than the other parent? Even they explain, still our parent is better. Why? Because unique social security as almost said, because more evaluation, more happiness will be occur. Uniquely parent is much more fair to the other parent. So that's why we believe in the other parent is counterproductive for every circumstance individual. Why? Because other parent characterize the nature of job. Unfortunately, in the general case, job is boring. There are no any stimulation in the arrival. We believe on that occasion, what we say is that, but our problem here is that the people cannot feel happiness in the situation of working. Even the other time, they cannot characterize the system of social structure, still capitalism that exists, still company seek profit, still even the individual think, I want prioritize time, other time, over their working time. But still companies say, even the holiday, you should go out because our project maximizing. That's why now, in reality, many people, even though they hate to go to the work, go to the job, they have to spend their time, or they have to go to the work. They have to depend on their time to ask the company. This structure does not be changed in just a time, in our parent. What is important here is that in our parent, still in the situation to work, can match our will to feel happiness. No. So on the other hand, in just our parent, the situation we have to work cannot match the will. We want to work. Also, it's completely different from their side. So important uniqueness here is that because we can give us stimulation in our parent, because we can career, because we have the purpose to do some working with even the routine, we are still how do we promote, how do we evaluate, how to be the leader. Such kind of mind will be mindset in every kind of life. It's surely has to end our life. Unfortunately, government never revert this core logic. That's why this logic should be started this way.
Okay, on the point that you said, some people prefer their career. We believe people cannot make a perfect utilitarian calculus. They think careerism is good because it permeates society, this notion. But still many regret it when they die lonely, having lived their whole life working.
Unfortunately, we cannot understand just like the other will be still outside case clearly standing in this way. So let me debate closing government case. Closing government case is that so there because this dominant value we harm to others. That is problematic. But maybe this harm is not mutually exclusive in the at all, especially in the capitalist society. Just the character is that because the lazy people will be stigmatized because of the people have the notion to capitalism is important. Okay, but still in the capitalist society, still company because of profit seeker, lazy is bad. You have to be stigmatized because you are lazy. You are unprofitable. What is the uniqueness on that point? Even though someone says the comparatively, what is the comparatively? They never explain. That's why we just like case does not stand at all. That's why just like case is totally not mutually exclusive at all. That's why they have to explain why uniquely only careerism like have the stigmatization towards lazy people. They never explain. That's why no. So that's the case does not stand. So finally, we want to the comparison towards closing government case. So simply in terms of number. So we believe our case should be majority. Why? They successfully explain how this value are dominant. Means we believe majority people have this notion. Majority people can feel happy by their working time because of this stimulation. Even such can harm the minority that exists. Still we are spared in terms of majority. Unfortunately, they never give any comparison about which is failure, which why they have to prioritize just an actor who will be harmed by such kind of this notion. But on the topic, we give a criteria of comparison. Still in this society, government has a role to maximize their individual happiness. On the topic, we cannot judge the amount or such kind of quality of the happiness. Still, we have to use the criteria of number. On the topic, if we can prioritize the vast majority of people, at least can be happy, even though we have to such kind of certain minority, even though we did not make an exclusion. On the topic, still in this comparison, we can be superior to their side. So what we said in this event is that, so unlike opening government, unlike opening how, we will realize of such kind of consequence of such kind of effort. Still, because of this process to seeking consequence is important. It can be beautiful. It can enrich ourselves life. Even such one happiness is small because it's accumulation of choice, accumulation of 40 years such kind of action. They can feel happier. They can maximize individual happiness. Thank you.